House Civis Broadcasting. I'm your host, Sylas de Civis.
And I'm your host, Alufi Haskell de Civis. Today is the 13th of Zarantyr and a beautiful farm.
And we want to thank you for stopping in, listening, and enjoying this broadcasting of a Chronicle of Echoes. Alufi, it is another robust day out there, another cold snap this week. How have you been faring?
So I'm thinking Winona is a good name.
For what?
We were talking about it. My new kitten?
Why Winona?
I don't know, I just think it's a Winona. Winona. It's a good name.
Well, maybe you should name it Cold Snap or something focused in on the weather that we're currently talking about.
That sounds like a grumpy turtle name.
It actually does sound like a grumpy turtle name, Cold Snap.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yes, absolutely. Has Winona been dealing well with the cold?
She's really fluffy. You should come over and see her. So she's really fuzzy, though. So she's got these little teethers up top. They scoop out like this.
Like vampire fangs?
No, more like, haven't you ever seen an elephant? Like a little baby elephant?
Like tusks?
Yeah.
The cat has tusks?
Yeah, she's got little teethers.
Have you thought that perhaps the cat that you received from the anonymous gentleman from last year is in fact some sort of plant, a fiendish monster?
A plant? No, she eats meat. Little bits of chicken and tuna.
Well, how do you know she doesn't grow into, the size of a mountain?
I've no idea, but I'm really excited to find out.
Hey, how about that news?
I've got a story.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna call this gossip news.
That's not news.
I think we all remember a few months ago. Oh my gosh, it's been a few months, hasn't it? How the time flies. Baron Arctis or Sanus, the Braelish Baron who moved to Sharn recently.
I do, yes. Of course. It took me a minute. I remember. Go ahead.
So he did something rather spectacular this week.
I'm going to take a guess, bear related.
No. I mean, let me read my paper.
My apologies. It just felt like perhaps that gentleman was a one-trick bear.
Ahem. So the Baron was walking up to Tavik's market. You know, that big ramp that leads up to the market proper?
Yes.
So he was following quite a ways behind a big cart. And right as the cart got to just the top of the ramp, the pony spooked. Reason we do not yet know, but the harness decoupled from the cart and the cart went speeding down the path. So the Baron, intent on stopping the cart, jumped into its path, only to find himself thrown into the cart.
Oh no.
So the Baron's a proper adventurer, right? So he has a bunch of vials of different alchemical stuff. You know adventurers, they always have weird stuff on them at any given notice.
Generally stolen.
So he had what they call instant ice. I guess it's like a vial of stuff you pour and then it gets icy.
Well, how is that going to correct the issue that's going on? So
in my
head, the cart's going down the ramp.
Yeah.
He's in the ramp. Or,
yeah.
In the cart. He's in the cart.
So he tries to pour it onto the wheels, I guess to lock them up to make them stop. He accidentally poured alchemical grease on them. He got the vials mixed up. So now the cart's going even faster than it was. And he's having to take, all those steep and sharp turns in Tavik's Landing, as you're going from middle to lower, just all those steep, sharp turns. And so he's like, oh man, I've got something else that might be able to work. He tosses that vial in front of him.
The alchemical ice?
It's the alchemical ice. So now you've got greased wheels on an ice road, and he's going even faster. So he's picking up more speed, and he gets well into lower Tavik's Landing when he's finally unable to take a quick turn, and the cart barrels its way off of a balcony. And he lands, I kid you not, 10 feet in front of the House Orient Enclave in Terminus. Doesn't hit a single person. Perfectly fine. Now, the guards and a few eyewitnesses said that he was covered in furs because it was a fur salesman. And when he stands up, everybody's like, that's one angry bear.
I knew there was a bear joke, yeah.
Takes off the furs, then it's just him underneath, you know? So, Baron has paid
there's more good.
for damages to not only the cart, but also all damages done to property, including, but not limited to, from what I'm told, broken clotheslines, accidentally stolen chickens, broken fruit and vegetable stands, and he had to apologize to one woman's family, saying that he, quote, didn't mean to sweep her off her feet, unquote.
I'm beginning to question whether or not this Baron Ursanus is a real person. Have you been writing the stories, Alufi?
There were several House Orion guards and Enclave members who saw this happen. We have eyewitness reports.
If you are listening currently and you saw this incident with Baron Ursanus or any of the other ones that happened, please contact me directly. I would like some verification out there in the world.
Why would I make stuff up? He's been invited to the teen gala before. He's big. He's huge.
You know what? Then we'll invite him here. We'll have him in and he can discuss all of his bear-related exploits with us.
I don't think... Okay, he's had, one bear-related exploit? Okay, 2. But this one's not bear-related. People just said he looked like a big, angry bear.
It all seems very suspicious. No?
No, I'm trying to think of another one, and it's really making me angry that I can't out-pun you right now. Why don't you read the next news article, Sylas Meanieface DeCivis? That's right, I know your middle name.
I use a stage name, and that's not the middle name of my stage name. I do have an article here from a more reliable source, the Sharn Inquisitive.
Oh, we're lying today, okay.
As I was saying, article here from the Sharn Inquisitive. According to the article, a Morgrave University team led by antiquities professor Casimir Irtanen announced on Weir that they decoded the Code of Varrock, a puzzle that has long fascinated cryptographers, linguists, and historians for countless decades. Now, the code was created more than 5,000 years ago by a dragon of the same name, and inscriptions have been found across various runes throughout Khorvaire. The key to cracking the code, according to Irtanen, was accumulating Khorvaire's large collection of antiquities related to it. Morgrave University used its own researchers, expeditions from the Wayfarer Foundation, and independent explorers to copy or acquire examples of all inscriptions written by Varrock. According to Irtanen, the runes were found in places like the lost city of Haradni off the coast of Kabar, ruined mines of blaze gold in the Roarholds, and the seals of Aladrash in the Shadow Marches, each of those giving extensive information on the code itself. There is one mystery remaining, though: why the Code of Varrock resisted divination magic. According to Irtanen, they deployed all sorts of divination, but even efforts to commune or contact other planes didn't get them anywhere while deciphering it. In the end, it came down to brute force cryptography and the extraordinary ingenuity of his team. Now, this may seem like exciting news to some, but there are mixed reactions amongst the academic community. Otheron Habelstadt, the history professor at the University of Kornberg, called the effort to decrypt the code typical Morgrave irresponsibility, and was quoted as saying, "We know so little of Varrock, but we do know this. It trapped or killed a lot of strange monsters from far-off dimensions. Now that anyone can read the inscriptions, what's to keep tomb robbers from opening a bunch of mystic seals and unleashing the horrors that the world hasn't seen for thousands of years?" An interesting take on that.
As the being that taught, the druids in the Eldin Reaches their druidic magics, it would be interesting to see if those creeds have changed over time. If there's any more we can glean from their teachings. Do we have any other news?
I don't believe so. We do have a bit of cleanup from last week.
Oh, okay.
And then we can do Alufi's Asks.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, very quickly. Due to us mentioning both Clifftop and Deathgate guilds during last week's broadcasting, I have been petitioned by another guild to mention them this week, so I shall read this statement from them. The Coronesti Brothers Adventuring Company is having a recruitment drive and has pushed back dues until 999 YK for all new adventurers. So come on down. Join the guild voted number 1 in Sharn's best up-and-coming guilds out of the middle wards in 994 YK. Why follow the pack when you could be a Seaback? Signed, Luton Coronesti Brothers Adventuring Company.
Is a seaback a type of fish? I think they meant sea bass.
Well, it's
Are they the ones?
CBAC, so it's Seaback. So I would imagine.
Are they the ones with the fish? Because that would make sense.
I think, I thought turtle immediately, sea.
Oh, like a seaback turtle.
I don't know if that's. I don't know anything about turtles. I'm not familiar with aquatic creatures at all.
Just that, Cold Snap's a good name.
Oh, a turtle name, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
pulling it right back
absolutely.
around. Look at
maybe
that.
It's fate today. Hopefully they are turtles. If not, I'm gonna just assume they're a turtle guild.
Hey, how about you read me one or two Alufi's ask?
Dear Alufi, a friend of mine is spending all their time at Fantasy Unlimited. The staff there are starting to get worried about them, as are the rest of our friends. I think they're trying to remember their good times with their adventuring company after they came back from Stormreach alone. Is there some way we can help them remember there's a real world out there full of people who love them?
Interventions don't work. A lot of people think that they do. Sitting a person down in front of all of their friends and or family and saying, hey, you've got a problem, let's try and fix it together. Because all that's going to do is it's going to enforce the idea that what they're doing wrong or the issue that they're doing or having is more okay. It does the opposite thing from what people think it does. You and your friends should build a network around this harmed party. You should help him realize that his company's gone, however they left him, however that happened, and it's okay, and that he needs to feel that grief in order to be able to move on.
Well, I think that someone needs to talk to him. He probably needs a helpful ear to listen. It's hard when you go through horrible things in other places, especially losing members of your adventuring party in far-off locales and not getting that sense of closure that comes with the way the world naturally is.
So for any of you that are dealing with loss, like a lot of people are, why don't you reach out to your friends? Why don't you reach out to one of the many wonderful therapists here in Sharn and maybe talk about your grief for a little bit?
And always remember that House Jarasco is always available to help heal wounds both visible and not visible. That's House Jarasco. Health, help, hope. Dear Alufi, my little girl heard you talking about your Wyvern Stone and has latched onto her own Wyvy Stone. Can you tell me where you found yours?
I found my Wyvern Stone in the bazaar. There is a giant owl in the bazaar in the Dura Towers. The bazaar. And this owl has a little shop, and he has pre-painted Wyvern Stones. He's got unpainted Wyvern Stones. He's got little accessories for your Wyvern Stones. It's pretty easy to find him. Any of you out there who have Wyvern Stones, we've talked about them before. You should go ahead and in the comments that we have, the little comment pads, why don't you tell me what you named your Wyvern Stone?
You know, it would also be a nice treat if people were to send us portraits of the Wyvern Stones directly to us here at House Civis through our gnome mail system. I think that would be nice.
I think so too.
Put them up here in the office. We actually had someone to do portraits of us recently and send those in, and I really enjoyed that. It was nice seeing.
Yes.
I'm concerned how they got my likeness through the Echoers. I'm fairly certain that I have not met that person. And
you know that they have our portraits over at the Enclave, right?
No.
Regardless, send us your Wyvern Stone pictures at House Civis Echoer Station at gmail.com. The com is for communication because you're communicating to us, and the G is for gnome.
What do you say we get on to the next Alufi's Ask so that way we can move on to our guest?
Of course.
Dear Alufi, I'm struggling to get a start as a playwright in town. I'm determined to go it alone, but no theater will even give my scripts a try. Should I swallow my pride and sign up for House Fjarlin? Signed, Theoretical Thespian.
Theoretical Thespian. It's really hard to make a break here in Sharn unless you've made a break somewhere else. I understand not wanting to sign one of House Fjarlin's contracts because then you're kind of limited to the topics that they want you to write under. But if you get big enough in House Fjarlin, you can write just about whatever you want. You do have a few other options. Your first option, and honestly your worst option, is just to start writing plays and start hiring people and putting those plays on. There might be a few theaters, small though they may be, that will take your play simply because you're not House Fjarlin and they're not going to have to pay House Fjarlin fees. Your other option, though, is to travel to either Fairhaven or to Stormreach. Stormreach is known for its avant-garde theatrical performances. There's this one guy in Stormreach that pretends to do a blood sacrifice at the end of every show. I've heard that it's really gory and scary, but people love it because it's so not what you would expect at a House Fjarlin show. So if you can make it in Stormreach and then decide to bring one of your shows here back to Sharn, you can make it in Sharn. Of course, you'd have to make it in Stormreach first, which sounds like it could be easier, but it also could not be easier because you'd have to pay all of the fees to actually move everything to Stormreach. Before we get on to our interlude of music and our guest, I would like to reach out to everybody listening and just say, hey, thank you for listening. But also, if you walk on over here to this echoer device that you're listening at, you will notice on either side of the echoer device a cool little guy in a red crushed velvet suit. That's our subscribe. If you talk to our subscribe, then you will get notifications about when we are putting out new echoes. You'll get extra information as well. Also, in front of our subscribe, you will see our details panel. That's going to tell you everything about each and every single echo, including little tidbits of information and where you can find more information about what we're talking about.
And to the person stealing our details panel from the Civis messaging station in Clifftop, please stop. That is costing us 10 copper every time you do it.
Yeah, that's a thing that happens more often than we want to admit. So, and then there's also little comment pads where you can make comments, you can doodle little things like hearts and thumbs and smiley faces, and we like seeing those.
We do. As long as they are positive and upbeat messages, we are absolutely excited about them.
Yeah, please don't write negative things or things that are considered not okay for children to look at.
Also, we understand that from time to time while we are broadcasting, we will make mistakes. They say things incorrectly. I have a tendency to doublespeak sometimes because of a stutter. All of those, we appreciate that you are commenting on and pointing out. But just understand that sometimes it can feel a little hurtful. Like commenting forged every time I accidentally say Warforged instead of forged. I'm doing my best. It's new to the vocabulary. I'm really trying.
So throughout all of the message stations here in Sharn, we do have our own messaging kiosk. So a lot of the message stations have these. It's a place where you can get different quests if you're an adventurer. It also has like
the messages coming in from different stations that are being left there, open to everyone to read. You can find them just about everywhere. But we do have our own House Civis Echoer messaging kiosk.
Mm-hmm. It is called civisechoerstation.com. The com this time is for community.
And then, of course, in addition to that, if you look at the detail panel located there, you will find the information on our collaboration with House Kundarak, our Patreon here called it.
That detail panel will tell you what Patreon is.
And of course, we want to thank our newest two patrons, Hyperlexic and Taumaturgy.
Oh my gosh, we met one finally!
Well, this is all one name, and it's T-A-M, Taumaturgy.
I'm gonna count it as a Tom Haturgy.
What kind of... That's an hyperlexic, unusual name as well.
Maybe they're Kalashtaran?
It could be.
Hey, Meeps. How about you hit us with that cool music?
House Civis broadcast.
And welcome back. Today we have a very special guest here to discuss Rebirth Eve and the Silver Flame.
I would like to introduce Shimmerwind, the Wingwyrd.
Wingwyrd.
Oh, Wingwyrd?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not a huge deal or anything. The Silver Flame puts names on you and titles and stuff, and it's a big deal.
I can understand that. You definitely don't want to be called something. I'd only ever seen it written, so I wasn't sure.
You don't appear to be a typical worshiper of the flame. I would not have expected, for our guests, Shimmerwind is a gargoyle, which I was surprised. I didn't realize that there were many worshippers of the flame who were from Drome.
So, yeah, most gargoyles are from Drome. Many of my kin are from Thrane itself. Just when the Silver Flame was created, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the one in Thrane, of course, it kind of changed a lot of us into Wingwyrds. A lot of us that were guarding already sacred places and things like that. We just really like to chill out around those cathedrals and churches and so on. Me personally, I remember my time when I was touched by the flame. It just turned out I was a regular flying, sitting down gargoyle one day, and then the next day I was serving the Silver Flame.
And how long ago was that?
Oh, I'd say maybe like 250 years ago.
Well, that is a long time to serve in the flame. So before that, did you have this unique coloration with the light here and the silver specks? Was that when you became touched? Did it actually change, or did you have to undergo a process in order to?
Yeah, so most gargoyles are real rocky gray skin. Me and my kind, lots of metallic skin colors. Obviously, you can see my beautiful silver glow, and of course these bright yellow clothes that I have sewed myself. I am a master sewer.
Oh yeah, I was definitely looking at your clothing. You've got some really, really neat patterns there.
Some very interesting choices. A lot of flamish designs I can see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm told humans and gnomes and stuff really like this kind of thing. I don't know if that's I read that anyway.
Well, do you like that kind of thing? Is that something that you're partial to?
Oh, I mostly care about people. I've been writing this novel series that has yet to be picked up, but totally will soon. And it's about these two people that are in love, and at least based on my research of human relationships, it seems to be pretty good. Has not been bought yet, but that's not important right now.
Well, I'm sure Alufi would love to read something like that. She is a fan of different types of novels. Perhaps you'd take a look through and see.
I would be happy to.
It is very difficult to master writing human love. They live for such a short time that they live in love in a very different style than most other races.
Well, my friend, this paladin Thalis, gave me some tips. She said, don't keep it too basic, keep it very interesting. So it's not just humans, it's one human woman, a very nice girl who's attending Arcanics, and she meets this fabulously mysterious, interesting vampire.
Ew.
Oh, that I don't know that that's an appropriate relationship to write about, especially as a member of the Flame.
Keep going. Tell me a little bit more.
Well, so not everyone says it's okay, but the Silver Flame preaches mercy and compassion and kindness, and really what Miss Thorne believes is that she can redeem everyone, even this vampire. And also, well, my friends have told me that it might not be too interesting yet, so I'm kind of thinking about adding in maybe a third werewolf love interest.
Ooh, I think that would be really, really good, because then you can have like which one will she love, and is it okay to love a werewolf, because the different issues with that. And then I mean, at least a werewolf will live the same time as her, whereas like a vampire, they live forever. And then like, ooh, that's really interesting.
So is that what you do for a living, writing novels?
Oh, well, this is just a hobby, I'm afraid. For a living, as with many Wingwyrds, I go on many missions for the Silver Flame. Most of my friends are about just delivering things, being messengers of the Silver Flame. But you see, I have a partner in crime named Thalis Moonblade, and she and I go on a lot of missions for the church.
Well, let's talk about that instead of the books. Let's talk about the Silver Flame. Tell us, what is it you do for the Silver Flame?
So, like I said, a lot of Wingwyrds do a lot of messenger work, but Sylas and I, we go around and we smite evil because she is a Templar of the Silver Flame. I don't really do that. I'm more of a lookout, kind of like a scout, sort of like her lookout whenever she's doing anything dangerous,
Everyone should have someone to assist them on various missions, so it's good that you're there. Let's discuss the flame. Tell us about the flame itself. For our listeners out there who are not worshipping of the flame, tell us about the tenets of the religion. Tell us about the origins. I know Tira Mirin. I just don't know who Tira Mirin is. I understand that she's important to the church, but beyond that, I'm not 100%.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because a lot of Wingwyrds I know knew Tira Mirin when she created the Silver Flame in Flamekeep, and so they don't really know her personally, but we all have a really deep connection to her in our hearts. It's very warm and inviting.
And how does that relate to your day-to-day life, specifically when it comes to the host? How is the Silver Flame different than the host?
Oh, well, we, of course, in Thrane, of course, we love other religions except for the Blood of All. Those guys are kind of creepy, and I don't really like them that much. But the Sovereign Host is just fine. Tira Mirin herself was a paladin of Dol Ra, which just meant, she still wanted to fight evil. And that's kind of what we're all about, just having the will to fight evil, or sometimes, if you can, just cure it, because, there's evil in the hearts of people, and the only way you can cure that is with mercy and love.
So, as you've just touched on, Tira Mirin was a paladin of Dol Ra. Doesn't that just mean that the Silver Flame itself is an extension of the Sovereign Host?
Oh, well, I don't think you would say that if you just, came to Flamekeep and saw the Silver Flame itself. It's a big old flame, and I don't know if you've been before, but I've been to Flamekeep before, and when Jayla talks, when the voice speaks with Tira Mirin's voice, it's just it's a very enlightening feeling. It's a very warm, inviting. She's like little this tall. She's like a little shorter than you guys even.
I'm sorry if this sounds like a really weird question, but I see a lot of gargoyles just like standing around like on roofs and stuff. Is that boring?
Oh, well, it's great that you ask. A lot of people ask this about gargoyles, actually, and in Droam, what they say is they have a word for it, even. It's called Kazamor. I don't really speak Goblin myself, but a lot of the wiser Wingwyrds do, and it kind of literally means watching the stones grow. Me personally, I love perching up on a roof and just watching people, they go in and out of buildings. They kind of fight and talk amongst themselves. The other day I saw an argument and just wrote it down because I was like so interested. about what was going on.
So it's kind of like bird watching.
Let's focus back in on Rebirth Eve. That is a holiday specifically celebrated by the Flame, and I have no idea what it is.
The Rebirth Eve is one of my most favorite holidays because everyone gets together, and sometimes if it's like Thalus's family, they fight a lot and in the arguing and but that's not really the point of the holiday. The point of the holiday is everyone holds spiritual vigil and guards against evil, and even when they fight, they kind of everyone puts their anger and their animosity aside and their nationalism, and they kind of join together in kind of fighting the evil together. It's kind of a celebration of our determination and our faith in the Flame.
As someone who has a limited family as well, I can understand the joy in seeing other people argue with theirs.
Yeah, well, it's not really, I guess it's a lot of just people watching again.
So a lot of holidays, for example, Baker's Night, it's been kind of co-opted by followers of the host. How do you feel about people that don't share your faith celebrating in your holidays?
Well, the great thing about the Silver Flame is that it's open to anyone from the Sovereign Host. If they want to be worshipping Boldre or Dolora, they can do that while also believing in the Silver Flame in their hearts and fighting evil wherever they can. So, anywhere where mortality triumphs over evil. That's what the Silver Flame's great at.
And you don't feel that these outsiders of the faith coming in and celebrating your holiday is disrespectful?
Oh, no, not at all. You see, we Wingwyrds, we're sort of ambassadors to everyone else. And as long as everyone knows to be vigilant and stay at an arm's length from evil that may arise, whether it's from people or from supernatural creatures like demons, then it's good because ultimately the Silver Flame is about fighting evil.
So, Shimmerwind,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. DeCivis and I are in a bit of a contention point. He says that they're not real, but I say that they are, and the reason why they're real is because the Silver Flame never saw them as evil. What is your view on were-pigeons?
Oh, were-pigeons. Okay, so I do have a little bit of a secret. When I was first awakened by the Silver Flame, it was kind of just after lycanthropic purge, so I don't really know that much about it. But that's when I met up with Thalus, and she fought all kinds of were-creatures. So I guess my answer to that is apparently she's seen all kinds of weird were-creatures before, so maybe if they get little, I don't know, I've seen drawings in Silver Flame books and stuff sometimes, and there's sometimes birds with real big arms.
And it has been an absolute delight getting a different perspective on the Flame than Bishop Sarhane. We love the Bishop and we're thankful that she comes in all the time, but it is nice to hear from other people.
Have you ever met her? She's really nice.
I think I do know her. I think we met at a ball or something. She came with a little cinnamon roll of a friend.
She used the thing. She used the thing.
The what?
I made that. It's mine.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's why you're. Okay, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Shimmerwind, for coming on and talking with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. If you guys come down to Flamekeep, I'll introduce you to Jayla. I don't really know her at all or have the clearance, but I'm sure I can introduce myself and she'll be really nice.
Well, I would like for all of our Flamist
is good.
Flamist listeners to have a wonderful Rebirth Eve. And as always, everyone, keep an ear out for those echoes of